All right, good.
So the main thing that concerned us is recently there was the comment from Health Minister Tony Clement about Insight being an abomination, which shocked a lot of people to a very strong degree. We're wondering if that's something you agree with, and if not, how would you reconcile that with the Prime Minister probably sharing similar sentiments?
Just first off, just some history to background it. Right, when Insight was formed, I was the MLA for this region, and I worked really hard to get them the money to get themselves started. Right, so I was very supportive of it, and I was supportive of it for 4 reasons. One, one of our goals was reduce crime. One of the goals was reduce the spread of HIV and Hep C, and as you know, that's something I've been working on since 1990. The other was to increase people's access to healthcare, and the fourth one was to get people into treatment. And so when I look at that, the street disorder didn't happen. It's terrible, and you know it as well as I do. Hep C and HIV is basically everyone that's down there using injection drug users are actually HIV positive or Hep C positive already. There has been an increase in an uptake in the amount of health services, but there hasn't been enough uptake on the treatment side of things. And so that's something that I really feel that I'm clear with everybody about it. That's a refocusing that has to happen at Insight. Now, I've started this place up in Prince George. It's helping people, and I have one guy there from Insight, right? So I'm not, I can see that there's a possibility of people moving from Insight to on-site, which is their detox and their treatment phase, and then maybe into something else like what we're doing at Baldy Hughes, which is great. But they have to refocus themselves on that. I mean, at the end of the day, the game has to be, we are going to help people get into recovery, because if you're addicted, if you're homeless, if you're dealing with a mental illness, and a lot of people are living with co-occurring disorders there, you've got to get them back on a path to healing. And that's really what it's about. So the only thing I would say about Insight is it's time to refocus it on the recovery and the healing aspects of it. And let's be careful that what we say in the news is verifiable. Like saying that street disorder is down is a lie, because street disorder's never been as bad as it is. Saying that they've saved 400 people from overdoses is wrong. It's not the truth. And you don't have to overstate your case to win someone over on a compassionate issue. You don't have to do that.
I will let you get to your meeting. More specifically, one question I have is...
If I could just jump in.
Yeah, sure.
When Tony Clement spoke to the Canadian Medical Association meeting a few weeks ago, he said that doctors who supported Insight and programs like it were being unethical, which is a big claim to make to doctors, and saying they're violating their Hippocratic oath. It's violating what makes them a doctor.
Right.
And as he said that Insight is an abomination, and your party has door drop.
You can't expect that Lauren's going to speak to what Tony Clement has to say when he was an MLA at that time.
Do you agree with those sentiments now?
He just answered that question.
I've already told you exactly what I think about Insight.
I mean, simple yes or no, though. I mean, your government...
But it's not a simple yes or no question.
You can confront him what he says. This is Lauren Maincourt.
I just actually told you exactly how I feel about it.
So you differ from the federal party on the issue?
You're putting words in his mouth.
No, I don't think I do, actually.
No.
I think that Tony Clement has been really... I have supported it, I continue to support it, but what you have to understand is that the focus of Insight needs to be on recovery. It has to be, at the end of the day, you've got to treat people with mental illness for their mental illness. You've got to treat people with addictions with a recovery method, because you know what? Being an addict is really shitty. That's what it comes down to. And I don't know many addicts, including the guy that came to us from Insight, who don't say to me, look, I'd like my life to be a little different. And so that's really what I'm about. And that's the communication that I bring to this riding about Insight, and it's what I take with me to Ottawa on Insight.
What about the lawsuit that the federal government is continuing?
I have nothing to say about it because I'm not part of it. I don't know what the heck.
I mean, you intend to be, though, certainly.
I certainly intend to be a person that represents what is best for people in British Columbia. And I go and I work in the trenches, in the downtown east side. I'm not new to this game. I've been down there and worked in that neighborhood. I've worked in HIV/AIDS. I've worked in addictions. I have a good understanding of it. I continue to be an advocate for recovery programs, for getting people the treatment that they need, and that's where I'm at. And as a matter of fact, if you really talk with, Mark Townsend and Liz Evans right now, what are they starting to change to? They're talking about creating a therapeutic community. Good. That's what they should do. That's where people get recovery. That's what I'm doing up in Prince George, and it's what we should be doing in more places. And I thank you very much for, being...
No, sorry for the harsh tone of the question.
No, not a problem at all, and thank you very much. It was nice
Yeah,
to
and
meet you.
thank you guys for sharing about what you believe in. It's good.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Because either you have a legal hate.
Lauren, and can we just
Yeah,
make sure that you support Insight and the harm reduction? I know you can't say harm reduction, but the idea of giving people the heroin to get to recovery, and then
No,
they
I
can
don't.
You don't.
I don't. No,
So you don't like Sam Sullivan's idea or any of those other ideas about
the
opiate?
CAS program?
Yeah, like
no,
related
I don't
things
support
to
it.
get,
I don't support it. And actually, most of the addicts,
like methadone and a bunch of other.
well,
substances
methadone
that-
is a little bit different, okay? Because it's a proven method of reducing someone's dependence on heroin. And heroin or opiates are different than other drugs. I mean, you get a physical dependence upon them. Like your bones ache if you don't.
That's right.
So methadone has a place, but I don't support giving them heroin. I don't support.
No, but not giving it
other-
to them, but allowing them to have a safe place to inject instead of in a dumpster.
Well,
Because you know this area, you've been walking around, you
I
live
guess
for a
what
week, right?
what
And I live in this
what I've-
neighborhood,
what I've
so I
said
feel
is-
really bad that
what
they're
I've
on the
said is
street
I
doing
can-
that.
Yeah, and what I say is, if Insight is providing that and a pathway to recovery,
Yes.
then that's good, and
Please
that's what
fight
it should
for
be
that.
doing.
Please
okay?
fight for that.
Okay.
One quick kicker, if I can get it out of my mouth there. If the Prime Minister or the Health Minister did, explicitly say if they somehow won the government again, and you could be the MP, what would you do if their direction was to close Insight?
That's right.
I would be asking them to refocus the mission of Insight so that it's recovery based, so that it helps people that are desperately in need of medical services and such. But at the end of the day, the end game for Insight has to be getting people in recovery. It has to be.
Okay.
Because there's no point in doing it otherwise.
Okay. Well, thank
Thanks
you very
very
much for your time.
Okay. Bye-bye.